Well, let's bring in Stephanie Decker, who's in southern Israel, close to the border with Gaza. And we've just heard that Netanyahu has visited Israeli troops there. What more can you tell us about his visit?
Yes, we actually saw his convoy. We didn't know who it was. It was a long convoy of blacked out cars in the area. And then they closed the road that we wanted to take on. We thought it might be the Minister of Defense, but it seems that it was Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He basically visited two areas that had been affected by the Hamas attack, where over 100 civilians died in each, in Be'eri and also in Kfar Gaza. He spoke to the troops, saying that they were going to redefine the area, basically rallying them, giving them a pep talk, if you will, ahead of what everyone is expecting to be an imminent, perhaps, according to commentators and the feeling here, of a ground invasion. It's taken him a week to do so, and of course Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has always told the Israeli public, when it comes to the political scene, that he, Mr. Security is how he is called, was the only one to keep the Israeli public safe. Now, the Hamas attack of last Saturday certainly is the biggest breach of Israeli security in the last few decades, if not ever. He hasn't really apologized. The narrative coming from him is, of course, one of war, one of unity. Now, the Israeli public has pretty much rallied behind him temporarily, but certainly the polls are showing that the majority of Israelis do blame him for this failure, and many are saying that perhaps after the war that he should go.
In a video that was released by the Israeli army, it has Netanyahu talking to troops saying, "Are you ready for the next stage?" It certainly seems like an invasion into Gaza is imminent. What other signs have there been in the south there that would, I guess, lead people to think that it is going to happen any day now?
Well, the troops are in position. You have the biggest call-up of army reserves here. Of course, how the army works here, it's conscription. People serve in the army for about a year and a half, and up to the age of 40, you can be called to serve duty. So many of these now civilians having civilian jobs, 360,000 of them having been called up, the majority around the Gaza Strip. Just to explain to you where we are, we've been witnessing heavy bombardment in the last couple of hours of the northern Gaza Strip. That is right behind us. And basically, it's impossible for me to call out when they're going to go in, but the feeling is certainly that they are in position, that it is going to be soon. I think we had foreign dignitaries here visiting yesterday. We've been discussing, obviously, amongst ourselves when this might happen, certainly not when you had these leaders in the area, some of them here visiting the border of Gaza. But it is a major concern, particularly inside Gaza. Of course, that evacuation call from Israel to over 1 million Palestinians from this northern area to the south makes you believe that an invasion, which would probably happen in this northern area at first, could be imminent.
OK, thank you so much for that update. That is Stephanie Decker for us in southern Israel. Families of those Israelis who were taken captive by Hamas have been protesting. Willem Marks is live for us in Tel Aviv. And Willem, you're at that protest now. Can you just explain how large it is and what it is that the protesters are demanding?
So, Tom, over the last 8 or 9 months, just down the road from where we are now, we're outside the kind of main Israeli government complex in Tel Aviv. There have been weekly protests against the government of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, particularly as it pertains to his efforts to overhaul the country's judicial system. Today, this morning, a father of one of the people believed held captive in Gaza set up a chair, set up a sign and said, "I want the government to pay attention to this issue," posted it on social media, and over the course of the last few hours, you can see still some of them behind me here, hundreds, thousands of people turning up to make their displeasure known at the way that the Israeli government seems to be focused or not focused enough on this issue of people who are missing or unaccounted for. Behind me here, there's a long wall that's been covered with posters over the course of the day, photographs of those who are missing with their names and their ages. And just as we follow around here to show you, this is spread on both sides of the street. There's quite a heavy police presence, as there has been throughout many of the anti-government protests here over the last year or so. There's many more people here. Quite a fractious crowd, to be honest, at the moment, Tom. People seemingly very much on edge. I've been talking to quite a few of them, asking them questions about why they're here, how this is different to previous anti-government protests. They have said, look, this is not the time to criticise the government. This is not the time to question what happened last weekend. What I'd like to see, many of them I spoke to, essentially would be what they call prisoner swaps, exchanging political, or what the Israelis call security prisoners, Palestinians held there in jails with some of these captives.
OK, thanks so much, Willem. That is Willem Marks for us in Tel Aviv.